Harris, and you really got to know his name. Dr. Harris is, in my view, arguably one of, if not the best leader in our community. He's a great guy. He doesn't fall for the nonsense, the Democrat Republican stuff. I think this week has been really nice because this whole weekend, I don't think anybody's mentioned Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. I haven't heard one person mention that. And not to say that's not important. I mean, I get it if you're voting and doing your thing, but I personally believe our solutions lie with us and what we're doing, not so much what the politicians are doing. But anyway, um, so I'm sending out the text right now for those that are still in the bid. And also, if you want to be on the text list and get notified when we meet for class, just text the word morning, MORNING, to 87948. Text morning to 87948, and I'll send you a wake up call periodically as well. I can't do it every single day because actually sending text messages does cost money, but I do send it when I can just to kind of let you guys know when we're talking. I think today is going to be a kind of a fun topic because I was watching this thing with Cam Newton, the NFL player, and he interviewed with this lady named Dr. I think Denise Bryant or something like that. And by the way, let me just ask real quick: can y'all hear me? Let me know. Let me know you can hear me. I should have done my sound check. Give me a quick yes to let me know I'm coming through all right. Okay, and also I was rude. I didn't say good morning to you or greet you. I see Mr. Jan Jasmine, Stephen Gordon, Josephine Rainwater, Polly Lyons, Ayanna Hamilton, Sharon Rayford, Daryl M, Ethelene Black. Good to see you. Badia Muhammad, Karen Millhouse, Darlene Bramble, Nelly. I see you. Good to see everybody. Okay, so sorry for that. Sometimes I'm task oriented and I'm thinking about what we're gonna do for today, and I completely forget to even say hello. So just chalk it up to my weirdness. And I think yesterday I was a little emotionally drained. I went to the Black Business Conference, and which was amazing, by the way. Dr. Ken Harris really did something really amazing. He brought together dozens of delegations from African countries to meet 250 Black CEOs. There were dozens of like chambers of commerce and just all these people that are just really committed to Black economics, and they're doing insane amounts of business. Like they're really getting it done. Like this is real stuff. Like they're really going back and forth to Africa and everything else, and this is the type of stuff we should know about because that's going to be one of our keys to power. If you're Italian, you want to link back to Italy. If you're Spanish, you want to link back to Spain, right? If you are Mexican, you link back to Mexico, whatever it is. If you're China, you link back to, if you're Chinese, you link back to China. Well, you know what that means for us. We are connected to Africa, historically. I know that we're not first generation Africans, most of us are not, but I do think that economic connection is incredibly important for us to understand. I think it's very important for us to all really renew those passports and take those trips. I just did that trip to Egypt. I'm ashamed to say I've only been to about five African countries: Ghana, South Africa, Botswana, Nigeria, and Egypt. But I can just tell you right now, I'm probably going to go to at least three African countries per year. So in 5 years, my goal is to have 15 or more African countries under my belt, unless I do a trip where I do multiple countries in one trip. But Africa is the future, not just for the Black community, not just for us, not just for African American people, but also for the world. I don't know if y'all know this, but the African economy is expected to blow up largely because of its people. Africa has the youngest average population on Earth. All these other countries around the world, they're scrambling. Japan is scrambling because their populations are getting old. China's scrambling because they don't have enough people. Europe is definitely scrambling because them Europeans, they ain't got, they got, I'm sorry, I hate to say it, but some of them recessive genes are catching up. Y'all don't have what we got. I don't know if that's gonna hurt anybody's feelings or not. But look at the studies, look at what the data says. So generally speaking, Africa is where it's at. Africa really is just that cradle of civilization. And one thing I think you should understand, I'm gonna talk about the the Cam Newton thing in a minute, but I really want you to understand that the way we view ourselves as Black people around the world, kind of as the weaker party, the ones who are kind of getting our butts kicked, the ones who are being exploited and mistreated. That stuff is temporary. Like if you look throughout history, you'll see where okay, they'll be like, okay, yeah, this group of people, they were the losers for 400 or 500 years, but then they suddenly dominated the world. Now for the next 1,000 years, they were running everything. So that's kind of what it is. Even Europe had if you go back to the Middle Ages and when they had the Black Plague, they were kind of the ghetto of the earth. They really they had this virus that went through their whole population and killed a third to a half of all the people. So they all their institutions failed and fell apart, and so they were kind of the worst hood on the planet. Africa was really thriving at that time. We were doing mathematics, geometry, astronomy, and everything else, and they were like hitting each other upside the head with cave sticks. Like they really were struggling. But they eventually, through various forms of unethical behavior, unfortunately, regained a lot of their power. And I think that Black people, I think that we will be powerful one day as well. I'm just preparing for that. It's just really a lot like stock market investing. If you know anything about investing, you'll know that the key to investing in the stock market, for example, is you want to buy a lot of stock while the stock prices are depressed. You don't wait until everything's booming and taking off. You buy when the stocks are depressed, and then you own them so that the rising tide really lift your boat. The rising tide does lift the boat, but you got to buy a boat. You understand? Like you got to put your boat in the water while the tide is low. Right? You can't wait till the tide is high and try to get your boat in the water. You got to get your boat in the water while the tide is low. So I love investing in the Black community and in Black people because in some areas the tide is a little bit low, but the tide's going to rise. And as that tide rises, we're going to be great. We're going to be great again. I guarantee you this. Um, all right. So, in fact, actually, here's an example. Back in 2006, 2007, when I was really going around to different urban radio stations and talking about Black economics and all that, I had got a lot of resistance. I had a lot of people who said Black people don't want to hear about that. That is not interesting. And I remember I said, well, right now they're not interested, but I know that they're interested in money because I hear rappers always rapping about money. So why wouldn't money be important to us? We just don't know how to make money. I just got to help people make the connection between having money and understanding money. Right? You talk about getting money, but you're getting money the wrong way. You want to get money as a crack dealer instead of getting money as a real estate developer. You want to get money in the streets as opposed to getting money in the boardroom. You want to get money in a way that might get you sent to prison instead of getting money in a way that's not going to send you to prison. It'll probably make you more money and a more sustainable ROI, right? So that was literally the logic. And I remember at that time, it just wasn't popular. I had people tell me like, no, you're wasting your time with the Black community. But I said, but I'm Black. I should be investing Black. I should be investing my PhD in the Black community, not all these other people. They were like, well, Black people, they're not going to appreciate what you're doing. They're going to think you're a nerd and whatever. And you should go talk to Asian people. They get it. Or go talk to Jewish people. They get it. Go talk to white people. They get it. And they have more money. And I said, but that's not inspiring to me. I was on the faculty of Syracuse. I talked to lots of Asian students and I love them. I had lots of European students. I love them. I had lots of Jewish students. I love them too. But it wasn't the same as talking to my people, right? It didn't have an impact on the people that I connected to the most. So I drove in, I just drilled in, and I said, if I just do this every single day, consistently, nonstop, and I just don't stop, can't stop, won't stop, then eventually, it's gonna catch on. And so yesterday, I'm walking through InvestFest, and I'm seeing just hundreds, maybe thousands of people all gathered at a conference with the word invest in the title. And I'm just walking through this and I'm just so happy. I was so proud of everything I saw. I went to the Black Business Conference and I saw hundreds and hundreds of our people there who were talking about Black economics, who wasn't scared to be Black, who were just not scared to be Black. And see, this is what's crazy to me. This is what's messed up is that they got you scared to be yourself. They got you. You run up. You say, "Well, I'm pro-Black." Well, that's gonna. I'm gonna get fired from my job. Oh God, I can't be seen associating with you. I went through that. I kid you not. When I was at Syracuse, I had Black professors who distanced themselves from me because I was gonna mess up their chance to get in good with the white folks in their department. They're like, if they know that I'm your friend, they gonna get me. I'm like, they gonna get us. They go, who gonna get us, Bo? They coming to get us? Like I was like little 7-year-old sneaking cookies. Well, we can't let daddy find out. We gonna get a whooping. And I'm like, we're grown-ups. We don't have to whisper about being Black, do it. Is that illegal? Is that still are the slave catchers coming? Is that what's gonna happen? Okay, did you tell Kizzy to go make sure she makes some grits in the kitchen so we can get away quick because I was nervous, boss. I was nervous. It was really like that. And here's the thing. Here's what's so great. So I was talking to a guy who had a government job, and he was at the Black Business Conference, and I said, "So what do you do?" And he said, "I work with the Department of Energy." I never forget him. His name was Abraham. It wasn't Abraham. It was like Abram. And I talked to Abram on the elevator, and Abram, he's still part of he's part of his plantation, but he likes it there. I always say, if you like your plantation, I'm never one to tell everyone to go quit their jobs. Just like I don't tell you who to vote for. I don't tell you what to do with your job. If you like your black job and they're treating you right, then great. Use that as a stream of income that will help you to build your wealth. Just make sure you get multiple streams of income. Make sure you get some assets, put some savings to the side, buy you some real estate, get you some stock. That way you have a backup in case that situation does not work out. So I'm never against that. I don't look down on that or anything. So he was telling me he worked at the Department of Energy, and he was there working with all these black businesses at the Black Business Conference to get government contracts with the Department of Energy. Do y'all understand how big of a deal that is? Do you understand how big of a deal that? I said that is a big deal. I said energy. I said I think there's going to be an energy shortage. I said I've been telling my students to invest in energy. I had a list of energy stocks to invest in because I think that that's really going to be an issue with AI and all that. He said, "Oh, absolutely, absolutely." And so really, here's the thing: when there's going to be a shortage of something, any commodity where there's a shortage means the price is going up, right? So I said I've been consistently buying assets in the energy space. When I heard Microsoft was thinking about building their own nuclear reactor just so they can fuel their I said, "Holy crap, this is going to be interesting." So I want to be in the game. So long story short, we talked, and let me just tell you, these are the types of people I think we should know more about as well. Let me tell you about this brother. I should mention him very quickly before we get to the Cam Newton thing. I promise we're gonna get to the Cam Newton thing. So he told me he had a PhD in applied physics from the University of Michigan. Do you understand how powerful that is? Like I went to Ohio State. Now in football, we like to believe we're better than Michigan, but academically, the Big Ten is strong. Ohio State's here. Michigan's right there. Shout out to Michigan. And and we just talked about it and about his PhD in applied physics. And I said, I know you probably went through tremendous amounts of trauma to get there. And what I really like, I love meeting people in our community who are just quietly doing these amazing things. And it makes me sad that you don't get the same attention and respect as a rapper. Or somebody might look at you and say, "Well, I don't like your shoes. You look like a square." But you don't understand. This man has a superpower. It is hard as hell to get a PhD. Like I have my doctoral experience was so difficult that my whole entire adult life, I have never had any fear or intimidation of talking about a financial topic or any intellectual topic with anyone on the planet. I have been on CNN with the smartest people on the planet and literally still assumed I was probably one of the smarter people in the room. I never, or I didn't even compete and compare. You don't even do that. Once you elevate and you don't care about that, you're just like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna learn from you because you're confident. You're completely. You don't think that that you know what you're doing. You don't think that you're smart. You just kind of know it. Like, yeah, I know. I got some neurons firing. I'm gonna be all right. And that's what that level of push does. It's like being a Navy SEAL, an intellectual version of a Navy SEAL, an intellectual version of a ninja. Like you're like, yeah, you took karate class for 2 weeks, but I did ninja training in the mountains of Nepal for 25 years. So I'm Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee and stuff right now. So this is a whole different level of understanding, right? So this brother is up at that level, and I met other black men like that as well. And I saw some of them at InvestFest. They came up to me at InvestFest, and they're quietly doing these amazing things. I met people that did $100 million in business with their company last year. And again, these are not people that you see. These are in my view, what I would call the dark matter of the black community, and I call it the dark matter because has anybody give me a guess if you've ever heard this about physics? Or tell me if you've heard this. They say that 98% of the energy in the universe is completely undetectable by any instruments that we have in existence now. Has anybody ever heard about that? Give me a yes if you ever heard about dark matter and how dark matter works. Like, give me a yes in the chat. Let me see if anybody else knows. Okay, so let me explain it for those who are not familiar with it. Basically, dark matter is something we know it's there. It has it. You see the effects, but you can't. They can't find it. They try to measure it and they can't measure it. They can measure things like oxygen and they can measure gravity and all that, but they can't figure out. They're like, where is this energy? Like we don't, we should be able to look at the molecule or an atom or it's just something to tell us where this they can't find it. But they see the effects of it, like the way the planets move and stuff like however they measure that. Right. In a way, it's kind of like, like if you're in a room and somebody farts and you smell it, there's evidence that somebody farted, but you may not know who actually did it. And you can't see it, but it's just there. Like dark matter is kind of like that, right? So to me, the dark matter in the black community is just these amazing people, millions of us, and I say us because we're never going to get as much attention as the rappers and the goofballs and the guy with 10 babies mamas who shot his daddy in his big toe and did a bunch of years in prison and wants to sell crack again and wants to rap about Molly's and Percocets. We'll never get the same attention as these people because that's how the system's designed. That's how that entertainment, that media engine is designed. It's designed to take the very worst of us and to really elevate that. And then you poison the children because you get the children looking up to the men that should not be looked up to. You get the children looking up to dysfunction, so they desire dysfunction. They want to be broken. They want to be ignorant. They want to be backward, right? So really, I want to just give a shout out to all the dark matter in the community because you're the ones that are really holding our community together. Like you're the fabric. When I meet you, if I ever meet any of you in person, one thing you'll notice is like my goal is like I want to hear your story. I like to hear your story. If I have time, I'll sit and just listen to your whole story. And I can't tell you how many times I have heard black men and black women come up to me and it'll be some black man. I was in New Orleans. I was at some conference in New Orleans. Me and my wife were waiting for an Uber and there was a guy, I meet good people everywhere. So this guy goes, "Hey, Dr. Boyce," and he yells at he's at a red light. He was in a truck. And he's talking to me. He's like, "Hey, I like your stuff, man." I was like, "Oh, thank you, man. Good to see you." And I had never seen him, but I was like, it's still good to see him. And so we're talking, and he's at this light, and I'm like, okay, the light's about to change, and we're just yelling across the street. I said, I realized, I said, my Uber ain't here yet. I said, can you give me a ride? And he's like, yeah, yeah, hop in. So we hopped in the truck. My wife was with me, and I guess it could have gone wrong, but we hopped in his truck. So we're riding in this guy's truck, and he just randomly, and we're just talking. He randomly he says, "Yeah, I quit my job because of you." And I was like, "Really? Wow, tell me how it went. What happened?" And him and his wife are running this business. And he said, "Yeah, we made over $1.2 million last year in revenue." And I said, "Really? Tell me more about your family." He said, "Well, me and my wife have been married for 30 years, and we have three kids. And one just graduated from college, the other one's starting college, and the other one's in high school, and they all work in the family business." And I'm just sitting here thinking, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is the Black American dream. This is the American dream. That is the Black American dream. Just like going to some big white university that puts you $200,000 in debt so you can get a job working for other white people who abuse you for 20 or 30 years and leave you broke. That's not a dream, really. That's not, or not just broke, but broke in. And we're going to talk. Actually, I want to talk about that Cam Newton thing because I think that that's part of it. I'm not here to disrespect Cam Newton. Though. I'm not trying to do that. But really, it's like all this other crap. That's not a dream. To me, it's like, man, you have built a great family, and it's a secure family. It's a secure situation. You have lived righteously and strongly in your manhood. You are the king of the castle. Your wife is the queen. Y'all got the children. There's a legacy that's been built. It's going to last long after you're gone. You built some wealth. You're disconnected from the machine. You're not dependent on other people. And the thing was, he had a good regular job. I think he was like a federal marshal or something like that. And but I was really impressed. I was really impressed. And a lot of you are living that life. And I just really want you to know that even though society might not talk about it, or people might say that that's lame, or that's not interesting, or that that's boring, I don't agree with any of that. I was the lame guy all through my 20s. I was lame. All through my 20s, I was just this guy who had a raggedy car. So somebody's making jokes about women who have boyfriends where their boyfriends borrow their car and they're clowning these women. And I was honest. I said, when I was 25 and I was broke, I actually had to borrow my girlfriend's car because I didn't have a car. I could not afford it. I said, but I gotta make up for it. We got plenty of cars in our garage now. But now everybody's borrowing my car, but yeah. So I think it's just kind of like you got to really see the value of something in someone before the rest of the world sees it. Like I think that the ability to see value is really a consciousness exercise where you have the courage to come to independent assessments of something's or someone's value, not valuing them as a person, but just in terms of what they can add. Like you can sense the value of their contribution without other people having to validate that. When you're looking for external validation of what you see in terms of value, you're gonna get it wrong. You're gonna get it wrong. Just like stock. If you are interested in buying a stock just because everybody else is buying it, then chances are you're buying a stock that's been overpriced. You have to have independent eyes. Your independent eyes are where you can see the value of the stock, even if the rest of the world doesn't see it. And that requires a certain amount of skill. It requires a certain amount of confidence. It requires a certain amount of consciousness and a certain amount of foresight where you can say, okay, this thing is valuable whether the world sees this or not. I love doing that. I love looking. I meet people. I met a young lady at the conference. Her name was Ketchy, and I talked to Ketchy for a little while. And she had told me she said I heard you were here, and I came to the conference, to meet you. And she was 30, and we were talking, and I said, yeah, you're talented. I said, I can tell you're diverse, you're smart, you have certain values. I said, I think you could be a star. You could be really good at what you're doing. I just want you to see that because it doesn't matter if I see it. I've seen that's happened all the time where I've seen things with people and they don't see it. If you don't see it, then it's like it's some Stevie Wonder stuff. Like it's not going to happen. You have to be able to see it. But I personally think that the ability of us to see the value in ourselves and each other is essentially important because when you see the things you see value in are the things you invest in. You invest where you see value. You do not put your energy and your time into areas where you don't see value. So the problem that we have, one of the problems we have with our economics is also a self-esteem problem. We do not see the value in ourselves and the value in each other. That's why we want to go across town and spend all the time with white folks. That's what we do. I'm not, if you're white, I don't, I know sometimes I mention white folks and I know that that's taboo. I know we're not allowed to say your name in public without getting publicly beaten, but I'm not scared to say it. And I hope that this does not hurt your feelings because this is not personal. This is just factual. We are too special. We are too significant. We are too capable. We are too great to be investing our best and brightest and our greatest energy and our dark matter into all the stuff that don't matter. We put all of our dark matter into the stuff that don't matter. And I just don't believe that. I think we should put our dark matter into the stuff that does matter. And what matters is you. What matters are your children. What matters is your family. What matters is your infrastructure. What matters is you. You matter. And so anyway, one thing I'm going to do really quickly, if you don't mind, is Amani, who's on our team. She matters. Amani, you matter. Everybody say Amani, you matter. Everybody say hi to Amani. She's important because without my team, I can't do any of this. We are in, I think, week one of the Black Investors Championships, and Amani has just sent me the leaderboard of who's in there. And if you're not familiar, the Black Investors Championships is a competition where hundreds of you have entered this competition. It's a stock market investing competition. It's too late to enter now, but we'll let you know when the next one happens. And at the end, the winner gets the Black Investors Cup, which is a big cup. You got to hold it like this. It's really heavy. So you're going to feel proud of that. And also, you get lifetime access to the Black Business School. And so with week one, the leaderboard has let's see, the number one account. Everybody gets 50,000 to start off with. It looks like DCREN 21. You are the leader right now with $64,345. V Stock 5 has $56,910. So shout out to V Stock 5. And number 3 is Thousand Proof. That's a cool name. Thousand Proof is $55,610. So congratulations to you right now. But it's week one, so it's the beginning of the race. So we still got a long way to go. 5 more weeks. But I will keep you guys posted each week. Thank you, Amani, for reminding me to mention the leaderboard. Also, I want to mention I had a list of stocks that I wanted to send you guys. I think I sent it out, like some cybersecurity stocks you may want to take a look at. If you haven't gotten that list of stocks yet, feel free to get on the text list. You text the word morning to the number 87948. I can send it out one more time. Text morning to 87948. And also, I do have a book called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, as well as some workbooks and flashcards for kids. If you go to drboycebooks.com, that's our Black Wealth Mastery store. So feel free to go to drboycebooks.com, drboycebooks.com. All right, so let's talk about this Cam Newton thing really quick. And and actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I know I told D I was going to meet him over at Invest Fest. Okay, there we go. He hasn't texted me yet, so I got time. All right, so Cam Newton If you saw, how many of you saw, give me a yes or no. How many of you saw Cam Newton have his conversation? I think he was talking to a woman named Dr. Bryant. I don't know if it's Dr. Denise Bryant, Dr. Joyce Bryant, or something like that. She's a really smart lady. Really, really presents well on camera. I really liked her commentary, and they were talking about basically Cam wanting to be the new Nick Cannon. Basically, Cam Newton is a football player. In case you don't follow, and now he has a podcast. And Cam is interesting. He wears this hat, and he has a hole in the hat where his dreads come out of the top of the hat. Oh, what word do we text? We text the word morning, morning. Text morning to MOR to 87948. If somebody type that in so others can see it. So Cam has this hat, and his hair comes out of the top of his hat. Very, very strange. And he would always just come to these games dressed like Willy Wonka, like the Black Willy Wonka or something. There would just be some weird outfits or whatever. I don't understand all that, to be honest with you. But he was a great quarterback. He won the national championship. He did decently in the NFL. I think he got pushed out a little earlier than he wanted to, but he was a great player, I thought. And I his podcast seems interesting. I don't really watch it, but I did see this clip with Dr. Bryant, and it was really interesting because they were talking about his 8 children with 3 different women. And I'm going to play this clip, and I'm going to kind of give you a perspective on this, particularly from a Black wealth standpoint. And it's on my Instagram. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance. So feel free to follow me at Dr. Boyce Finance if you want to join the conversation or make your personal direct commentary on this issue. So I'm going to pull this up, and also I'm going to need you guys to let me know if you can hear the video. Let me hit the button. Okay, pause. All right, there we go. Okay, now I got to turn this thing off. All right, here we go. All right, so share my screen now. All right, so in this discussion, they were basically talking about his kids and whether or not it makes sense to, have all these kids and babies, mamas, and all this stuff. I'm gonna let them talk, and then I'll kind of give you a little bit of insight on this. Here we go.
I want more. Now,
by multiple women? What's the intent of just saying about your wife?
I just want God to bring him.
Oh, okay. And you just
because my point is this: my desire to get married is lower than my fear of divorce. So, as you would say it, Dr. Bryan, you said it. I didn't say it. I will agree. I'm just taking my time.
Action-based.
I'm taking my time.
You're being very action-based. You have 8 kids with 3 different women.
Yes.
You are creating, procreating, and multiplying. That is not taking your time. You're being very selectively active. Okay? So you're creating, and disclaimer, the kids are innocent. They are beautiful and amazing. Anything I said has nothing to do with them babies, because I can't wait to be a mom, and I love the kids.
I love that she said that, because there's always, y'all ever notice that when you watch something like this, there's always one idiot that tries to take the comment and then apply it to something it don't apply to and start a whole nother conversation. It's always one of those. I like that.
But you are proactively choosing where you want to be active at and where you want to take your time. You want to take your time in having a wife because of your own fears. But you will, and I say this with all respect and love, what I'm about to say next, okay, Cam? But you will selfishly create broken families, even if you're in their life and you're a proactive father, and I believe you're an amazing daddy. I can only imagine with just your presence and knowing you thus far. But these families are still broken. Every child cannot have Papa in the house with them. So some child, if not all will end up with some kind of deficit without daddy being there. Now, you chose to do that. I'm not saying you sat there and woke up one morning and said, I want to be selfish today, so I'm going to go make a baby. Not saying that at all. But those are selfish acts at the expense of your fear. So at what point do you feel the fear? Do it anyways. And yeah, that is a low functioning behavior. To say that I am going to create these homes. Oh, let me go better. I'm going to build these houses and put kids and these beautiful women and kids in them, but I ain't going to create a home in them. I'm going to wait till
That's a good, and I love that analogy.
That's to pay my fear to find a wife where I'm still going to be fearful with, because there's no such thing as not having some type of nerve or some type of feeling behind marrying somebody who you're spending your life with. And then I'm going to build a home with her while all these other beautiful babies have houses. That's completely unfair, and it's selfish.
Just tell me when I can solve.
Yeah, almost. That's completely unfair and that's selfish. And so, yes, you're taking your time in this department, but you're not taking your time in this department, which means you're compartmentalizing. And compartmentalizing never works. Compartmentalizing hurts everybody involved. Everybody who's in this box and that box and this box and that box and this box. And then here you go over here trying to figure out what box you're going to feed or entertain or do. Then you're looking outside to figure out who's your next victim to put in the box. It's unhealthy. And it's a huge dysfunction within our Black community that I truly believe personally, statistically, mental health wise, and community wise, that Black men would stop.
Black men would what?
Stop doing that they would stop that dysfunctional behavior of compartmentalizing and creating houses, not homes, and then finally a home with a wife. And then you have all these other houses that are homeless, but you over here at some point when you do get a wife, if you do, I'm saying if that's what you want, you will, you get whatever you want, you're trying to create a home.
Kicker. I want more. Now,
oh my God.
Okay, all right. So in a couple of words, what would y'all say? Reginald Sykes says, does he take care of his children? Lewis says the doctor is spot on. Um, Somebody says, wow, poor Cam. Okay. All right. So powerful. All right, sad. She's right. He's a fool, says Lenny. Hollis says she's right. Shaquana says trifling. Okay. Linda says the doctor is awesome. Yeah, I thought so too. She did a really great job. Travis, great perspective. Darnell, inappropriate behavior. Um, Sharon says he's broken. Okay. Pat says about the doctor is correct. Does anybody feel that the doctor was incorrect? Like, does anybody feel like she overstepped or she was being judgmental or inappropriate with what she said? So if you feel that way, say, okay, I don't see any no's or any yeses. Okay, a lot of you like what she said. Okay, yeah, okay. So here's what let's start here, right? We all agree that we care about our kids, and also we all hopefully understand from our financial consciousness training how valuable our children are, personally and even economically. That literally your black children are $1 trillion, multi-trillion-dollar asset. That's why racist white folks work so hard to get a hold of them. That's why they want them in their public schools, because they make billions from even your children going to failing public schools. They make lots of money from that. When your son grows up and ends up in the penitentiary, they make money from that. If your kids grow up and end up working for a company, chances are they'll be working for white people. That's a multi-trillion-dollar play. When you all grow up and go to college and go, $200,000 in debt to a big white university, there's trillions of dollars being made that way. So you and your children and your family is a multi-trillion-dollar asset that other people feel ownership of. Other people feel entitled to that. Before you're even born, there was somebody who felt entitled to you. They were like, okay, we're going to put you on the Negro track so that we can make sure we extract things from you as you go through life. You are a commodity, like I compare it to the chickens at a farm that are getting ready to be taken to KFC. Nobody cares about the chickens. The chickens don't have any rights. The chickens are just there to serve those on the higher aspect of the food chain. So to some extent, you're at the bottom of the economic and social and political food chain. That's why, for example, we saw both the Republican National Conference and the Democratic National Conference happen, and not one word was really mentioned about reparations or repairing, I mean, significantly repairing the damage that's been done to Black communities. There's no conversation about that. So with that being said, let me talk about just some basic stats on what happens to broken families in America. Okay, and this is all of America. This isn't just Black people. First off, here's the stat: the single parent families, particularly those headed by women, have a poverty rate of 30% compared to 6% for married couple families. So again, most of us are not Cam Newton. I'm sure Cam Newton is paying plenty of child support. I would be surprised if any of the women raising his children are in poverty. But most guys, a lot of us know a Cam Newton who ain't got Cam Newton money. Tell me if you know. Tell me if you know. Give me a guess if you know at least one dude who's who's trying to be Nick Cannon, but they never got a job on one of those goofball TV shows that pays them all that money. Right? So you have a lot of broke Nick Cannons out here, a lot of broke Cam Newtons out here, and that leads to a lot of poverty in families. The lowest net worth in America is that of a single Black mother with children. That's the lowest net worth in America. And this creates all kinds of other forms of trauma, when you're coming out of the gutter, your kid is struggling, your kid's living in a gang infested neighborhood, they don't have enough to eat. All these things are very traumatic and very disruptive to children, and it really shapes them in a really sometimes in a really painful sort of way. Also, the median income for single mother families is about 31,000 a year, which is significantly lower than the median income of 93,000 for married couple families. So, as I was speaking to a young man the other day at the the Black Business Conference, his name was Nate. He was 32, and he was a former Air Force something. I don't know what his role was, but he was in the Air Force. How about that? And he has a business and a family and everything else. And I was explaining to him about how your family is an asset to you as well. And just like your business is an asset, just like you have to learn to manage your business, you got to learn how to manage your family. Just like you learn to invest in your business, you invest in your family. See, you cannot be a person who thinks about the family as this side thing, because if you if you make the main thing the side thing, then the side thing will destroy the main thing. Do you understand? If you make your family the side thing, that's the side of the main thing. Like I'm gonna just give my family whatever time is left over. Eventually, what the problems in your family, the divorce, the children who hate you, the stress in your house, all the attorneys you have to pay as your family's falling to pieces, that's gonna kind of mess up everything else, right? So ultimately, the family management, if it's done properly, on the flip side of that, can really be an economic booster. Couples that are able to do the therapy, do the work, do the training with each other on how to deal with each other. Like I feel like I have to do training to learn how to deal with my wife. I had to learn all kinds of tools of therapy. Women, y'all are complicated. Ladies are that I've never met a math equation that is more complicated than teenage daughters. Like that's harder than any math. I've seen some really hard math problems, but none as hard as figuring out, say, a teenage girl, the girls in our house, and also understanding my wife, which is a grown up version of that. So that's a challenge for me, and she has to be committed to doing the same challenge in terms of understanding me, because I'm sure I'm not a piece of cake either. I'm a very weird man, right? So ultimately, though, if you can make it work and you have this energy that is in alignment, and you are able to build from each other, then you can actually do things at a level together that you can't do, that's hard to do individually. Food insecurity: over 30% of single parent households experience food insecurity. Not enough food. And this is white people included. So when you throw in black people, you know that number's going to be double. You know the number's double for us. Whatever, when white folks get a cold, we get pneumonia. Shout out to Tavis Smiley. He used to say that. Only 10% of two-parent households have food insecurity, whereas 30% of single-parent households. Educational attainment: children from single-parent households are twice as likely to drop out of high school, which limits their future earning potential. Also, childcare costs: single parents spend an average of 35% of their income on childcare, compared to 10% for married couples. So that, again, that 35% is probably much higher if you're black. Now I've given you the statistics on single parent households. Now I want to give the statistics on black single parent households, because we got to look at what happens with us. Okay, so they said 40% of black children living in single parent households are living below the poverty line. That's almost half. The median income for black single mother families is around 28,000 a year, which is much lower than the national median income for families overall, which hovers around 70,000. 28,000 a year, very hard to live off that, especially with kids. The wealth gap. Check this out. The black single parent households have a median wealth of less than $1,700. Now, that actually is a generous estimate. The estimate I saw was $0. And median is not the average. Median is not the mean. The mean is the average, where you add them all together and you divide by the number of people in the sample. Median is the one that's right in the middle. Like that woman who's right in the middle, just right in the middle of the pack. Her wealth level, according to this study, is 1,700. I've heard the number to be as low as zero, and it's about 10 times that for white single parent households. So white women who are single parents have a median wealth level that's 10 times greater than black women who are single parents. So this is one of the things I'm going to say is I really have a hard time understanding from a financial standpoint why anyone would want to be a single parent. That's the first thing. And no disrespect to anybody who's made that choice. I know it happens. That's life. Life be life, and we know this. But I don't understand why anybody would choose to be a single parent, and I don't know why anybody would choose to create a single parent. I don't understand that. I think also when I've had disagreements with guys. Sometimes guys on the internet will get mad at me and stuff, and I love them. But I'm not gonna tell you that something that's stupid is not stupid. I'm just gonna say I don't agree. It's crazy. It doesn't make sense. You're not making sense right now. And you hear a lot of guys that will criticize women who are single parents, right? You're a single mom, these single moms, but then they'll defend a man who, like Cam, who says, "Oh, I'm gonna go make a bunch of single mamas. I'm gonna go create single mamas everywhere. Single mama for you, single mama for you." Like Oprah did. You get a car, you get a car, right? You a baby mama, you a baby mama, you a baby mama, you a baby mama, so it doesn't make sense to me. You can't sort of cheer on that behavior and at the same time be critical when you meet that single mother who's doing her best, trying to figure it out. Maybe she wanted to marry Cam. She had Cam's baby. I personally think, but now to be honest with you, that's where sometimes people don't understand me. But I'm kind of like the guy who says, "Well, I don't really know if you really want to have a baby with a Cam Newton anyway. I don't. Maybe you shouldn't even let that man in your bedroom because he's he'd be sleeping with a lot of girls and guys like that. They sometimes they got diseases and stuff. But I don't judge his life. Whatever. It's human nature. But at the same time, I think that just the lack of consciousness. This is where financial consciousness comes into play. If you remember, let's go back to our fundamental definition of what consciousness is. Consciousness is leveling up. Consciousness is when you can think on higher dimensions. Consciousness is when you can anticipate future moves and cause and effect. Consciousness is where you're playing chess with your life and not checkers. That's what consciousness is. I can see the whole game from the top. I can look at my life where I am, and if I'm 38, I was counseling a young brother that I mentored today. He's 38 years old. I said, at 38, your consciousness means you should be able to look down at your life and see yourself at 38, but at the same time, look back at your life at 21 and see the progression, and then look at your life at 55 and see what that looks like. You're in a helicopter. Do you understand? Right? And then you go, that's the that's the third dimension. But then you go to the fourth dimension where you start looking at the time series. That's where you can see the future and the past. And then the fifth dimension is where you look at the possibilities. The fifth dimension is where you say, okay, if I do this, this is going to happen. If I do that, that's going to happen. If I do this, this is going to happen. Cause and effect. Do you understand? And I told you the sixth dimension is where God lives, and I'm not God, so I have a hard time describing that. But the point of the matter is to say that, when you're talking about the sacred and really critical decision to sleep with another person, not make a baby with another person. Just think about it. So many people have babies and they don't plan. They're not like, ooh, I'm gonna go have sex with this person so we can get pregnant. God kind of just sneaks that into the equation, right? Just like statistically speaking, there's going to be some like standard deviations and some errors there where 1,000 people have sex, all of them wore protection, but 50 of them had a baby just because life be lifing. Because you can't outsmart Mother Nature, you can't outsmart God, you can't outsmart the universe, right? So a lot of us play roulette, 5 of us crap out, right? And so basically the sacred act of sleeping with another person is something that should be factored into your consciousness equation. Like, like I'll see men that are trained, and I see this is where I blame hip hop culture, not all of it, but the toxic side of it, the part that's promoted by these racist people who want us to dumb ourselves down. And so many guys I've seen, the decision to sleep with a woman is based on like, if I can sleep with her, can I sleep with her? And I don't hear a lot of people asking like, should I sleep with her? Should I be doing this? Not can I do it? There's a lot of stuff you can do. You can do anything. I can go jump out this window, but the bigger question is, should I be jumping out this window? Do you understand? And sometimes we do stuff because we can do it instead of stopping and asking the conscious question, which is, should we do it? Is this where I'm supposed to be? Is this where my life, do I really want my life peppered with babies, mamas, and child support court? Also, I can go have a happy orgasm today. That's it. Can you imagine a world without orgasms? If they took orgasms out of our bodies and we could not, and we had to find some other way to be happy, oh, the baby mama rate it would just plummet. It would decline rapidly, right? It would, right? So think about how many crazy, horrible choices are made by men and women, not just men, by men and women, just over something so basic, something as simple as that has ruined lives, has led to financial destruction, has caused depression, anxiety, like regrets, a lifetime of regrets, death. Magic Johnson, he's not dead yet. I hope he lives forever, but y'all know what happened with Magic. Again, if you had no orgasms, I don't think all that would have happened. He would have spent his time doing something else. So I just really think that to me, consciousness, economically, I mean, it all circles back to wealth, right? And remember, wealth isn't just money. Wealth is anything of value that's in your life. Wealth is really more connected to a concept in economics called utility. Utility is just how happy are you with your life? How happy are you with the situation that you created? Are you content with that? If you're content, then you are a wealthy person, whether you have money or not, because wealth goes far deeper than just how much money you have in your bank account. There are plenty of people that have a lot of money in their bank account, who are incredibly unhappy, who are stressed out, scared to death, going through hell, not well mentally or physically or otherwise. So stop thinking. Never let anybody make you think that just because you got money in the bank, you're doing good. Doing good, again, another aspect of consciousness. That definition of how you doing. If somebody says how you doing, and all you say is, "Well, I made $1 million last year," that's not a conscious answer. A conscious answer is where, how you doing should be answered by, well, I'm happy. I got a good woman by my side. My kids love me. I'm physically healthy. I'm at peace. I meditate in the morning. I did my breathing exercises. I'm feeling good about my existence. That is the answer to the question of how you're doing. If you say to me, "Boyce, how you doing today?" I'm not gonna be like, "Man, did tell you how much money I made yesterday." Man, that ain't it. I got a complex life. I have to process that. Like, let me think about it. Let me think about how I'm doing. I don't know. I gotta go breathe for a little bit. I gotta go close my eyes for a little while. Do you understand? So ultimately, that to me is kind of what the big question is. Is like, how are you doing? How do you want to be doing? How wealthy do you want to be? And I don't think I'm gonna just tell you, when I look at Cam Newton and the 8 babies, 8 kids with the 3 women, I'm thinking that's going to be really complex for him in terms of whether or not that's a strategy that's going to really impact his wealth in a positive way. Not his financial wealth. I'm talking about his wealth period, but it will impact the financial wealth. So let me keep going. Let me keep going here. All right. So another aspect of this Cam Newton conversation. So just so you know, there are other stats on things like home ownership and educational outcomes. Basically, Black children from single parent homes are about twice as likely to have lower academic performance and have very high school dropout rates, much higher than 2 parent homes. So these are things you probably could have guessed much easily or easier. And what's interesting is that I did see somebody mention a solution. They said, maybe Cam should have all the mothers of his children, and the children all live in the same area, right? Either a compound where everybody has a house, or a neighborhood where everybody has a house, right, in that neighborhood, and that can actually be afforded. Did anybody ever see that show Big Love on HBO? That was a great show where this guy he was a polygamist, and he had 3 houses on the same property, and all his wives lived in the different houses. But what was interesting was that they showed all the different sides of that. Like see, the thing is, like, a young guy's like, "Ooh, this is great. Look at all the sex I get to have." But you get a little bit older and you get tired, and he was worn out. He was absolutely worn out because the financial expectations were just huge. He had to go make an insane amount of money to afford all that. And then also, when you get to the point where you become a grown man and you're not being led by your penis anymore, it's like you have all these other aspects of that in terms of managing lots of different emotions, lots of different situations and all that. So he really sort of became very overwhelmed by that situation, right? So again, I'm not here to say, and I say this without judgment. I'm not saying this is what Cam should do. I'm not saying you should agree with it. I know some people think that these are horrible ideas, but that is something I saw someone say, and I wouldn't, necessarily feel the right to judge if Nick Cannon, who says he makes over 50 to $100 million a year. I don't know how much he makes. He can afford to do something like that, and maybe that's something they agree on. I believe relationships are personal anyway. I think that society does not have a right to judge your relationship. And so if you wanted my advice on that, if you forced me to give you advice on relationships, my advice would be, don't let the internet tell you if your relationship is good or bad. Because the internet's full of stupid people that don't know anything about having healthy relationships. They just know how to make YouTube videos, and they will give you advice that you will take home, and it will get your ass kicked. Like, they will literally tell you things where you be like, "Yeah, woman, I was in with the manosphere, and they said that you need to stop because I'm a high value man." And next thing you know, you're gonna be sitting there, you gotta have something else to complain about. You're gonna be sitting at home by yourself with your boys drinking a beer, complaining, "Man, these women, they be doing me dirty, man. They be doing men dirty." Yeah, same thing. Same thing's true with women. I think that there are lots of the thing about relationships. I would say, this is just me being Uncle Boyce for a second. I hope that's okay. Is that there's a lot of most of the answers of what it takes to have a healthy relationship are not always politically correct. I think that politics, when it's mixed into how we interact with each other as men and women, politics kind of screws things up. So, when you're the hardcore feminist who doesn't think men deserve to be respected on any level, and you come in with the mindset of something that you picked up from some radical lady that you saw online, then that man may walk away from you and you may not understand why. I think that personal accountability is really the solution in most situations, right? So that means that if I'm sitting there as a man and I think women do this and women do that, and all my relationships have led to a certain outcome, I cannot have that conversation without considering my role in the process. Even if my even if my role is okay, I need to just really pick different. I need to stay away from people. I tend to trust the big button, a smile, or I tend to chase people that remind me of my mother because my mother mistreated me or whatever. Like I personally think that that's a personal choice, and I would say make it personal and customize it for yourself, customize it for your partner, and that's how you make things work. Because if you make it work, if you make a relationship work, if you make a family work, it becomes a very powerful thing. I've met people. I met another guy the other day who told me about his family business, and he was actually from the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam has some of the most solid human beings I've ever met in my life. That's why I trust them for my security at the convention. My security's Nation of Islam. I love my Nation of Islam friends. I just feel like there's a solidness, there's a common sense, and this is why I encourage the whole Black community to, even if you don't appreciate, if you don't, even if you don't connect to everything that they say, listen and learn. Because this, I talked to him. I don't remember the brother's name. I feel bad about that, but we talked for a minute. And let me tell you about him. He's part of the dark matter I was telling you about. This brother told me that first of all, I said, "What do you do?" He said, "I build houses." And he was showing me all these houses he builds. I think they were like I could have sworn they were. No, there was another brother building tiny houses. I want to talk to him too. But this guy, he said he builds houses, so he's a builder. We need more builders in our community. We don't have enough builders. We have managers, people that can go manage a business. But I like people that can actually build a business because we have to build our community. And he told me about his family. He was telling me about he and his wife homeschooled their children, and his children all graduated from college with high honors, with these degrees in these really amazing fields, chemical engineering, and another one had a degree in some other type of engineering, and his children worked with him in this family business, and it was a really awesome solid situation where his legacy is protected and reserved because he's kept his children close to him. His children are skilled. That's the thing. Your children are your $1 trillion asset. So if you're pouring into that asset and you're investing in that asset, then that creates a more solid infrastructure that allows your legacy to really exist. A lot of people that follow that culture of selfishness, and I know that doctor was using the word selfish to define Cam. I'm not going to use that term. But if you think about it, a lot of the culture that is pushed is a very selfish culture where it's like it's all about me as a man seeking pleasure and being comfortable and being happy, me as a woman seeking pleasure and being comfortable, being happy. And we don't even really factor things like children into the equation because we see children as like this, they like that, children will disrupt your swag, children will take away from your freedom, children will take away resources and all that. And so you see children as an expense, you see them as a liability, as opposed to seeing them as what they are, which is the ultimate asset. But the thing about this asset is it's like a big empty bucket, and it's a giant bucket, and you got to pour into the bucket. If the bucket is empty, then yeah, an empty bucket is going to take up space. But if you pour into that bucket, that can really, really, really do amazing things for your legacy, especially when you get, say, 50s and 60s and 70s, and you're tired and you've worked your whole life, you busted your ass your whole life to just be the best, to be skilled, and to be successful. And if you haven't really poured into a bucket at some point in your life, then everything that you've built, everything that you've done your whole life is going to just disappear with you when you die. It's literally, it's just gone. Like, okay, yeah, there's this hardworking lady named Ethel that worked for 50 years, and but there's nothing there to remember when she's gone. Or yeah, John was the man back in the 1970s. He was the baddest, and and all the ladies wanted him. And then John got old and John died, and now John doesn't exist anymore on any level. And again, I'm not saying that's the most important thing in the world, but I am saying that these are variables that you might want to consider in the process, because wealth really is a relay race, and a lot of our job is to not drop the baton and to pass that baton. Sometimes we don't want to run with the baton. We want to run by ourselves, or we take the baton and we throw it in the mud and we tell our kids, well, I got it out the mud. You can get it out the mud too. There's a young lady who told me that her father felt like because he got it out of the mud, she's got to get it out of the mud. And I'm like, no, you don't take the baton and throw it in the damn mud and then tell your daughter, hey, get it out the mud like I did. No, you're supposed to keep the baton nice and clean, run as fast as you can, get her the lead in the race, and hand her that stick so she can run it home like Sha'Carri Richardson and get that gold medal. Our kids don't get gold medals because nobody's passing the baton, or we're dropping the baton, or we're throwing the baton in the mud, or they're not even in the race. If you remember, think about this. In the United States, in the Olympics, the U.S. men have the fastest dudes on the planet. We have the fastest human beings on the planet, but the U.S. men have not won the 4x100 meter relay for 20 years. They haven't even medaled for 20 years. How in the hell is it that you can have the fastest sprinters on earth and not medal for 20 years? That's insanity. That is crazy. And it is I'm telling you, there is a connection with the fact that these individuals, these guys are African American males. African American males, we're not really honestly trained to think about anything other than just how great I am. Look at me. I'm the man. I'm the best. I'm the champion. So I'm competitive with you rather than being collaborative with you. I talked to a rapper friend about that the other. I said, your whole hip hop culture, unfortunately, is all built on competition. I got to be the man. Yeah, I'm gonna beat, and I'm gonna beat a man by outdoing you, by dominating you. But and it's very exhausting. It's tiring to have to compete with every guy that you meet. And instead of saying, okay, you know what, the same energy that I would have put into competing with you, I'm gonna put that same energy into collaborating with you so that we know who the real competitor is. A lot of times we can't compete because our consciousness level is so low that we don't even know who the real competitor is. We don't know who the real enemy is. Like even in politics, I talked to a guy yesterday at the conference. I have all these conversations and I bring them into class because these are conversations that I remember and I reflect on these. I talked to a brother who was a lobbyist in DC, and he was a nice guy. And he, like I told you, you got the Black Business Conference, heavyweights everywhere, just people doing amazing stuff. So we're talking in the elevator, and he was telling me, he said, yeah, in our office, half of us are Democrats, half of us are Republicans, but don't nobody care about that. We all work together to make as much money as possible. That's it. He said, I'm not going to argue with Tom because Tom is a Trump supporter. That has nothing to do with the price of tea in China. We're going in there and I'm going to support him to go get that money on the Republican side. He's going to support me to get money on the Democratic side. That's what he said. And I said, I think that's the right idea. I said, my rule is I will never argue with another Black person about their political affiliation. I'm just not. That's a waste of energy. Because the enemy, if I'm a Democrat, my enemy is not the Republicans. If I'm a Republican, my enemy is not the Democrats. If I have consciousness, the real enemy is the people, the bastards that put us in this two-party system that makes us fight each other. That's the real enemy. And remember that we talked about this a little bit yesterday, that if you're in a cage fight, your enemy is not the other guy fighting you in the cage. The enemy is the person who built the damn cage and structured the cage so that y'all are going to fight each other as opposed to fighting them. So that's consciousness. Consciousness is where you just level up and you're like, no, I'm looking down at this cage and this whole scenario is messed up. Right? So you got people who win the game, people who lose the game, people who can't get into the game, people who get, who leave, who refuse to play the game. Then you got the people who created the game, and then you got the smart people who just go create a whole nother game somewhere else, who say, I'm not even going to participate. Not only am I not playing this game with you, but I'm also going to go and build another game where I get to be the dungeon master. I get to be the one who controls all this. And I think that to me is a consciousness exercise, and a lot of us don't get that. So anyway, let me keep going here. Couple quick reminders, just so you guys know, and Amani, if you're still here, if you can remind me to do this, I want to give you guys, I really want you all to, I really want to pitch to you all the idea of coming to the All Black National Convention. We don't have a ton of tickets left. but I want the right people there, and so I don't want money to be a barrier. So what I want to do is I'm going to work with my team to create like a special offer you can't refuse, that we will offer specifically to the people that are in this class, specifically to people in Money in the Morning, because I want, you know, maybe we can get like some kind of shirt or something with something cool on it, so we all know each. Maybe it's something like this is a shirt I made, financially woke. I don't know, maybe that could be one of our shirts or something, but something where I think we want, you know, I'd like to see you. I'd like to meet you in person. I have in this time that I've been here at the Black Business Conference and also over at InvestFest, I always get reminded of how awesome it is to see the people that I'm talking to, because I don't see, I'm literally, I'm looking at the screen, I see your names and I'm looking at myself, and I know Boyce, I know that guy, he ain't nothing, but I like to see you in person. So I'm gonna basically throw something to you guys, that'll be exclusively for you. And hopefully I can convince you to come to Chicago and join us at the convention. And I guarantee you're going to have the time of your life. It's going to be an amazing experience. So anyway, that's that. And if you want to go check out the convention and see what we have planned for this year, you can go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. Lamar Tyler, the Black Millionaire Maker, is going to be there. He doesn't call himself that, but that's what he is. He's made so many people wealthy. It's ridiculous. He's really good at what he does. Brother Nuri Muhammad is another person that we're bringing in, because again, Nation of Islam, great leader, amazing man. But we literally have about 50 or 60 experts in a ton of areas that are all going to be there doing breakout sessions and stuff like that. So it's going to be a great opportunity to network. But it's not massive. We're not trying to do a blowout. We're not doing InvestFest, because that's a lot of people. And that's a lot of stuff to manage. I don't that and I think it can unfortunately kind of undermine the ability to connect on a personal level. But we are going to have enough people there where you're going to meet tons of great people there of all different ages and just have a great time. So feel free to go to allblacknationalconvention.com. All right, so let's finish up with the Cam Newton thing really quickly. So with the Cam Newton video that we played, and it's on my Instagram page, which is Dr. Boyce Finance. A couple of things Cam said that got my attention. I heard Cam say, "I want more kids." He said he had 8. He said I want more. He also mentioned his reason for not getting married. He said that my desire to get married is outweighed by my fear of divorce. I'm gonna say that I think that should be validated. I know people want to act like, oh, you're just being a punk, but that divorce is very devastating financially and emotionally. And what I don't think happens enough is people really understanding just the pain that comes for everybody. You know, I don't think they with a lot of men. I know a lot of guys that are really in pain from losing their families, not being able to live in the house with their children. And I know we sort of have these narratives. Well, if you wanted to be with your kids, you wouldn't have done this and done that. Whatever. I get it. I hear all that, but I still think that pain has to be acknowledged. And so what's really happening, and no one will talk about this. I don't hear anybody really talking about this. Is that I see a lot of men who are just saying, "Why would I do that?" You know, I see it's like if you have a building called marriage and you're a young man, you're 28 years old, and you see other men walk in that building and they come out sad and devastated and broken, there's nothing that makes the man say, "Oh, I want to go in that building too." Whatever the hell they doing to you, they, I want to go in there too. It's like a Diddy party. I want to go in there and just get screwed. You know, like a lot of guys just are just saying, like, what's the point? And I do think America's changed. I think that marriage is different for men today than it was for their grandfathers, and I think it's different for women today than it was for their grandmothers. I think that 60 years ago, um, there was something about marriage where we were able to do it and it just kind of stuck. And I personally think it was because we were able to give each other a lot more leeway than we do today. I think that if social media had existed in the 1940s, the divorce rates would have shot through the roof. I think things have changed. That's why I say things have changed, and it's shown itself through the massive divorce rate. And most indicators show that divorce isn't that great for almost anybody, especially on the financial side of things. So my best advice on the marriage thing would be, well, if you do it, you better really study it. You better be careful about who you select, and really, really be prepared to put a lot of energy into doing it right. I think a lot of people think that marriage is gonna, like, the whole marriage is gonna be like their wedding day. Your wedding day is, you know, that's this big celebration and everybody feels good, everybody loves each other. marriage ain't like your wedding day. You got one wedding day, and then after that, you got to get to the business of getting married. It's like the marathon. First time I ran a marathon, everybody was super excited. We were super hyped, and they were playing music, and everybody's like ready and stretching and jumping up and down. And then they shot the gun off, and you start running really fast because you're just thinking you're gonna run 26 miles at like the fastest pace you ever run, and that lasts for about a mile and a half. And then after that, you settle into the reality of like, holy crap, I'm in mile two and I got 24 miles to go. And that's where your mindset has to really shift. Now it ain't pretty, now it ain't glamorous, now it ain't exciting. It's lonely, it's hard, it's sad, you're in pain, it's uncomfortable. Now, not to say marriage is all pain, but there is a bit of a grind to it. My parents this year are doing year 50 of their marriage. In fact, I want to do something at the convention to celebrate this because I know how hard they work for this. And when I tell you, woo, buddy, I wish everybody could see the amount of forgiveness they had to have for each other, the amount of space they had to allow each other to grow in order to make that happen. And I don't really think that if they'd gotten married in 2024, that they would be able to make it to 2074. I think that their ability to make it from 1974 to 2024 is fine. But if they tried to make that from 2024 to 2074, I don't think it would have survived that long. So I think that the concerns about marriage are very, very real. I think the question becomes like, well, what's the alternative? And what's unfortunate is that if you choose the wrong alternative, like, okay, I'm just gonna have 8 babies mamas or 8 kids with 3 women, then unfortunately the kids are going to struggle. The Dr. Bryant, I think her last name was Bryant. In the interview with Cam, she mentioned that the void that's there, right? The void that's there with those kids who are like, dang, where's my daddy? I never saw my daddy. Yeah, I know my daddy was famous. I know my daddy sent money, but I didn't get to see him. Kids don't care about how much money you have. They don't care that you were famous and that you used to be an NFL quarterback. They're like, I just wanted to talk to you. I just wanted you to come to my game. I just wanted you to come to, like, they'd had like bring your daddy to school day or something, and I had no daddy to bring. And that's what kids remember. They don't care how much money you have and how much money you're sending. So this is where I think those guys get it wrong, where they're like, well, if you got plenty of money, then it's okay. No, the kids don't care. The kids want time, and time is expensive. I talk about time all the time. Why? Well, because time is one of the most critical variables in every financial equation in the universe. You can't do finance without time. You can't understand investing without time. Time is not money. Time is more valuable than money. Time is something that you can't replace. Time is something that exists in limited quantity for every individual. So time is everything. We don't waste money in the Black community. We really waste time. We do waste money, but time is what we really waste. Like when you let that baby grow from age 0 to age 18, and ain't nobody bought a share of stock for that kid, ain't nobody prepared him for the future, nobody taught him about real estate, nobody prepared him to be competitive. Well, you wasted time. You wasted 18 damn years. And 18 years, if you use the time effectively, you could build a $500,000 nest egg for that kid. If you had took the same amount of energy, financial energy that you put into paying your cell phone bill and paying your car note and going out to Applebee's and going to the club and put just a fraction of that into a stock portfolio, your child would never have to work for anybody for the rest of their life. But instead, because you wasted time, now your son or your daughter is going to a boss every day that disrespects them, treats them like crap, disrupts their mental health, has them stressed out, cortisol levels through the roof. The cortisol is killing them on the inside. That stress kills you. Constantly being Black and always having to come to work with your dukes up, that kills you. Y'all don't understand. These toxic chemicals kill you. So you're killing your kid because you're wasting time. So no, time is everything. So when I would say about anybody, when you're trying to be a father or a mother or something, you can't. It's hard to do that without time. That's what the kids need. That's what they care about. That's what's gonna make them love you. They're gonna love the person who gave them time, not the person who sent money, not the faceless person who's like talking to them on a Zoom call or or sending them money from Europe or whatever. No, they're gonna care about the person who gave them time. So I think that's the big problem with Cam is that the energy is just so spread out. And again, maybe the best solution for someone like him would be, okay, I'm about a whole block. We're gonna buy the block, and I'm gonna get a house for every single one of the mothers of my kids. and we're all going to live in the same neighborhood so they can all come to daddy's house after school. I know it's not politically correct. I know people are going to say that's stupid, but I will just tell you if marriage isn't something that can be done, then maybe that is a solution that can be thrown onto the table. I know some people may not like it, and it would definitely be complex, and it also kind of depends on who you're kind of dealing with. If you create a cooperative situation, personalities matter. If you got one or two disruptive personalities, it just blows it all up, right? So the ability to be cooperative and collaborative is a big part of that. But I have seen people have collaborative situations where they form teams and groups and they get it all done. Because at the end of the day, what has to occur is that the children have to be the top priority because the children are your $1 trillion asset. Your children are the only part of you that's going to exist after you're dead and gone. Your children are the ones who are going to become the adults one day. You're going to become the old person who needs their help, and they're the ones that are going to continue the legacy. And really, truth be told, now that I think about it, I'm in a cooperative situation to some extent, not a Cam Newton scenario by any stretch, but you know what? I live in a house with three children that I love very much that are not my biological kids, but they need my guidance and they lean on my guidance, and I connect to them on a very deep level. But they also have a great father, and I collaborate with their father to make sure the children are protected and connected and respected at every stage. And also the grandma fit and my parents fit in, and we all basically created like a village where the village is all, we're all in the village, and we understand one important idea. One important idea of any group is that the group has to be more important than the individual. So if any of us were to just behave as crazy individuals, like, I don't care about nobody, I'm going to do me, I'm going to do what's best for me all the time, then that disrupts the ability for you to work as a collaborative group. So I would almost say that if you're trying to build, this is a financial consciousness note that you can write down. If you're ever trying to build anything in your life, if you're ever trying to build anything in your life, build with people that are fellow builders, build with people that are collaborative. Dr. Ken Harris, who runs the Black Business Conference, the most amazing conference I've ever seen in terms of just how he's bringing together all these African delegations with Black businesses around. I mean, it's really amazing stuff. Let me tell you one thing that Dr. Ken said on stage the other day or yesterday that I thought was amazing. He said Negroes with egos is a no-go. He said Negroes with egos is a no-go. And this is what Dr. Harris has over a lot of other people. Where hip hop, the unfortunate reality is that with this economic movement, it's powerful and it's been accelerated by hip hop culture to some extent, right? I'm going to go to Invest Fest. I love everybody over there. And I know part of what draws it all together is the hip hop element, right? Rappers in the building. I saw T.I., stuff like that. Fine. I like T.I. He was one of my favorite rappers. I met him in Ghana. Fine guy. He's actually bought our financial flashcards for his kids. One of his team members told me that. So I have nothing but respect for him. But the downside of hip hop culture is it's not collaborative. It's very competitive. And it's also very ego driven. There's a narcissist element. That was what made it so difficult for me to talk to Kanye West. I was very open with you guys about that because his ego was getting in the way of us connecting and being able to build anything together. And I love what Dr. Ken Harris does because he understands something that's really important, that that you can win without having to always dominate everybody around you. A lot of rappers need to learn this, that the more you collaborate with other like-minded people, the stronger you can become. If the team is winning championships, you should not be the asshole who's complaining because you didn't get the ball enough. What would you? There are literally people that think that way. Michael Jordan used to be like that, and that's why he wasn't winning championships. Michael Jordan was the kind of guy who, back in the day, who would rather be on a bad team where he scored all the points than to be on a good team where he was coming off the bench. His ego could not handle the idea of him being subordinated. And so over time, he had to learn to be a little more collaborative. He was still fortunate enough that he was able to still dominate and still be great, but he wasn't winning championships until he learned, what it means to be a team. And remember, there was a time, I think there was an interview where they said somebody, I forgot, one of his teammates said something like, Michael needs to learn that there's no I in team. And I think Michael said, yeah, but there is an I in win. Yeah, but Michael wasn't winning. He couldn't beat the Pistons. If y'all remember, any old school basketball fans, anybody remember how the Pistons used to kick Jordan's ass every year? And the Pistons, I'm sorry, those guys were not great basketball players to me. They weren't. They were okay, but there wasn't anybody that was like a Michael Jordan. They were just, simple guys. Isaiah Thomas brings it down the court. Joe Dumars, great jump shot, could play defense. Bill Laimbeer would just whack you upside the head. But as a team, they were better than the Chicago Bulls because Michael Jordan could not beat a whole team. One individual has a very hard time defeating an entire team. So that collaborative energy, I think, is beneficial in every aspect of your life. So much so that I think our children should be trained on how to collaborate at an early age. Like, what does collaboration look like? What does it mean to be conscious enough, emotionally intelligent enough that you can rise up Maslow's hierarchy, rise your consciousness level to say, okay, I know I'm feeling some kind of way, but it ain't about me. I got to, and nothing in the culture, nothing in the culture supports it. Hip hop culture doesn't support it. Even the some of the therapy, some of the Eurocentric therapy doesn't support that. A lot of Eurocentric mindset is it's me, my, what I want to do, how I'm feeling. How I'm feeling is always the most important thing. I don't agree with none of that. No, it's not how I don't go in my household thinking about how I'm feeling first. I'm like, well, how are we feeling? Let me check on the kids. How are they feeling? How's my wife feeling? I can't walk into every situation thinking about me. So I was just gonna say, I think with Cam, let's circle back to that. I think that one of the losses that will occur is I think that when you're sort of doing it this way, you're kind of thinking about what Cam wants and what's going to make Cam happy and what makes Cam feel secure. And I really think consciousness and maturity to some extent. I think there's a maturity problem here. And this is, again, I think that with the black male in America, with hip hop and sports, we promote an excessive amount of immaturity amongst men. There's nothing that really forces these men to really truly grow up. So once the consciousness and the maturity rises, then you'll start seeing a more collaborative, more community-based sort of energy there. And I think that I like what the doctor was saying because she was kind of challenging him to say, hey, you can't do this little boy stuff. Little boys, little boys will seek pleasure. Little boys will do what's comfortable. A grown man does what is required. And what I respect though is the fact that he was even willing to have that conversation. I like the fact that he was willing to have her on because a lot of people won't even have somebody like that on their show. Like, wait, you're gonna come in my show and tell me what's wrong with me? I'm not hearing that. I commend him for doing that. So I think that's really it. There's probably more I could talk about, but we've been doing this for an hour and 20 minutes. So I'm gonna hop on out of here, and I will see you all tomorrow morning. We do financial consciousness every single morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. If you want to get a text message to be notified when we start, just text the word morning, MORNING, to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. Somebody type that in the chat. Also, you can get a copy of my book or our financial flashcards and workbooks for kids in our Black Wealth Mastery store at drboycebooks.com. And also on that text list, I will also send you guys one more time. I think I might have sent it out already. I can't remember if I did or not, so I'm going to send it out just in case. I have a list of cybersecurity stocks that I like, and I'll send it out to you guys, and you guys can take a look at that. So feel free to take a. Did I already send it out? Let me know if I sent that out. Give me a yes or no. Did y'all get that? Because I think I sent it, but I don't remember if I did or not. If I did, okay, maybe I'll put something else together then. All right. So anyway, guys, have a great day. God bless you, and I'll see you all tomorrow morning.